Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1976's Game Show Models. You might see 1977 on IMDb, but I'm going by the date on the back of this disc, 1976. This is distributed by Vinegar Syndrome. Picked this up for about $20, I guess. This is the back of the DVD. You see some shots, including Rainbow Cheryl Smith right there. And great artwork, beautiful artwork on the cover of this. There are actually two versions of this film, and it's included in this set, both in the same year, both the same time, the amount of time, 89 minutes. There's Game Show Models, which we're looking at, which seems to be the premiere feature on these discs. But there's also The Seventh Dwarf. Interestingly enough, that title, The Seventh Dwarf, that other version, is definitely referenced in Game Show Models as well. So let's get into this fascinating, complex, emotional, political, cultural film, because this is something extremely special. And yes, do you love the cover? Well, it's far different than probably what you are expecting, folks. Here's Game Show Models. Let's get into it. I made some notes here, so you might see my eyes divert because there's just so much goodness in this movie, and I didn't want to forget anything. We have... The film starts off just out of nowhere, just slaps you right in the face. Very bizarre sexual situation going on here, including a very scary mask and possibly some S&M. We have narration here as well, and kind of some 70s piano organ music, and the idea of an unsatisfied woman. And this unsatisfied woman, you will see later on in the film and throughout the film. We have a little section here of something called cryptic Mexican hieroglyphics graffiti. Yes, that is in here as well, in a very interesting scene near the beginning of this film. Some 70s ballad music as well, with the 70s piano organ sounding. The story concept of a 5-year plan. A man with a 5-year plan and a lonely woman, and the complexities of your goals and your plans. A new job, a new life. We have a quote in here of a token black. Yes, a token black person for entertainment contracts at this business. We also have talk of Asians as well. So definitely some stuff that wouldn't fly as well as in 2017. Truly authentic in Game Show Models. The scenes change almost like a 70s TV show to me. At times I felt like I was watching the 70s television, and I don't say that in negative at all. I say it as a fact. It has that feel, it has that vibe at times. Very interesting. There's a business idea that gets brought up in this film. A game show, hot women, publicity. There's a girl that you see at the beginning of the movie, at that very bizarre masked sex scene that is just very difficult not to focus on and stare at. Her breasts are like pretty unbelievable, in her whole body. She's very pretty, very attractive, and this girl will be seen in some somewhat interesting pieces throughout this film. You're going to see Dick Miller in here as well, in a pretty comedic role for him, playing a game show host. Brief, but awesome. His personality really shines through. Some very serious moody music vibes are also in this movie with the music. We have jokes about homosexual men in this film, and we have an interesting question of who is the seventh dwarf, and this comes out of nowhere in this film. But one thing that you'll realize while you're watching this movie is that many things will seemingly come out of nowhere in this film. And what I mean by that is you will experience an alternate world where conversations and topics and story building is off kilter. It's out of the norm. You're not expecting it. What's happening? How is it happening? And this question of the seventh dwarf and how that envelops with the characters in the film. Very, very interesting. This lead guy in this film is fascinating. He's his face, his eyes, his nonverbals, his verbals. He's just fascinating, and the women in the film are fascinated by him. But you feel his emotions, you feel his pain, and there's even some funky Latino music, lots of hand percussion in this movie as well. So we get some of that diversity. Lots of diversity, lots of racial diversity and cultural diversity in this film. A very bizarre scene where a girl flips out about not having a bed in her room. A very interesting scene. Some jazzy, slow music burning in here, and very strong racial issues in general. I know I said that there were jokes about ethnicities and things, but there are some very strong racial issues. A white guy and a black girl, and a past and history, and the way society views that. Very interesting. Lots of emotional depth here, and lots of pain also. There's a great reflection in a mirror while with someone's makeup. Very good reflection. And there's a very interesting line in here too about somebody being happy. And why are they happy? It's because they have a vinyl record playing behind them. It's because there's music on. That's why they're happy. We have a story topic of a character with dreams, with passions. Our lead. He used to write pornography. And interesting thoughts on that, and his future, and where he wants to go and how he wants to get there. And that it's a very interesting part of his past that links to his present as well. We have an interracial sex scene in this film. It's something you don't typically see, especially with a black woman and a white man. Very intense, very erotic, and very emotional at the same time. We have full female nudity in this film, full frontal, but probably not as much nudity as you are expecting throughout the entirety of this film from that cover. There's a lot going on in this film. We have playful piano. It's almost bluesy in here. And it's taking place, there's a piano player in the back of a truck in the middle of the city, the LA cityscape, and there's kind of this makeup woman mime dancer who's dancing to her friend's piano music in the back of a truck in the middle of the city of LA. And it's very, very interesting. And the piano starts to turn emotional, the vibes. And we've some interesting scenes in this area with this woman with makeup where we see them talking, but you don't hear what they're saying because the music is playing over it. It's a very interesting scene there, almost montagey. The theme of old love and the city, city emotions as you're walking through the city and thinking about old love and emotions. We have fades between the scenes in this movie as well. Nice edit fades, and a quote here: "Nobody works on Friday." There's a quote in this movie: "Nobody works on Friday." We have a motorcycle ride, which seems to be around Venice Beach area. And some POV shots on this motorcycle going under a pier, and the beams of the pier and the darkness underneath of the pier contrasted with the light pouring in from under the pier, and it's just dizzying and fantastic, this point of view shot on this motorcycle. Some jazz, some laid-back, fun jazz music here, with this beautiful mountain view in this movie as well, on top with the motorcycle. And a very shocking piece of the story that turns to a character that kind of comes out in a way of being homosexual, and in the way that he comes out, and the confusion of that as well. A homosexual struggle is in this film, where he says that he tolerates his wife and his children. And this is difficult stuff here, very difficult and very ahead of its time. And there's this amazing house in this movie of the boss of the business. Just amazing house. And there's violence in this house. Intense fighting, gunplay. It's shocking. It's powerful, and we really have a nice focus on the sun, the actual sun, up above of L.A. Does the sun look differently in LA? We know the trees do. Does the sun? A piano, synth, organ music that's almost contemplative, as this film is very contemplative. We have some quotes here. A honky Casanova, talked about a white person from a black woman, a honky Casanova. The word fuck is used a lot in this movie as well, which is not something very, very common, maybe, for 1976, I would say. Today we have it a lot. We think because Tarantino used it a lot, but you don't typically hear it a ton. But in this film, you do have it. We have themes of pregnancy and abortion and romance. And which romance is legitimate and which romance is illegitimate. Look carefully, you'll see the movie Deliverance, a poster for it in the boss's office. A great quote saying, "Man builds and man destroys." And the theme of men being virile, the virility of men. And humping the stars. What is a man? Gender issues, gender definition. What is a man in this film? And we have a pretty wild game show also, as it is called Game Show Models. We have a pretty wild game show involving really a new concept, a new definition of what a glory hole would be, but basically holes at a game show with their full naked bodies, and the other side you can touch, but also for the vagina also, where you can have sex with them right through the hole. And all these girls' butts in a row. If you like butts, you're going to love that scene. All different types of shapes and sizes of butts. A 300-pound bull dyke in an S&M booth at the game show. A piano show tune kind of there also, and we have some kind of piano show tune sounding music, and it gets really, really weighty because we start to really contrast the ideas of business and life and our passions, and there's this hauntingly beautiful scene at the end of the film, this open house. It's like a really open, there's no doors, it seems, on top of this mountain, and it's like another world. It's like space. It's beautiful. And there's a conversation, there's talking and responding, but the conversation is really by dancing, through dancing. And we have Hollywood pain, the concept of Hollywood pain. In the closing credits of the film, we have pieces of the movie which we've already seen, but then they each freeze. They each freeze and stop there. And then we get another piece and they freeze and they stop there. And it becomes very interesting and very contemplative. We have definite themes of emotion, pain, loss. This is a film where an art house film meets sleaze. It's beautiful. How's it possible? It's possible in Game Show Models. Bizarre. It's episodic. Conversations. There's bizarre section. This whole film, the conversations are bizarre. The placement of the conversations is bizarre. The people and how it envelops. There's a whole new world in this movie, and really very art house, very deep, and also very sleazy. This is Game Show Models from 1976. Thank you so much for watching this page. Check out all the other videos. Check out my own personal films. Thank you so much, folks, and good night.